The Lyadovsky Rock Monastery is located on the left bank of the Dniester, on the border with Moldova. Not far from it, a small river, Lyadava, flows into the Dniester, next to which is a village of the same name. The Lyadovsky Rock Monastery is one of the oldest in Ukraine. It was founded in 1013 by the founder of Russian monasticism, Saint Anthony of the Caves, on his way from the holy Mount Tathos to Kiev. Historians call the Lyadovsky Monastery a strange monument of a mysterious past, and note its spiritual and cultural significance throughout the more than 1,000-year history of Orthodoxy on our land. During the reign of the great equal to the apostles Prince Vladimir the Baptist of Rus, one of his associates came to the picturesque rocky places on the left bank of the Dniester, who supported the princely power of Kiev and the Christian path chosen by it. His name was Anthony, and before that, in the world, Antipas. It is with his name, as well as with the deeds of the iconoclasts who were in the Byzantine Empire as persecuted pilgrims, and, remaining orthodox, penetrated more and more to the north, where they settled in caves, that the history of the Lyadovsky Monastery is connected. On Holy Athos, in the Sphigmon Monastery, the young Antipas took monastic tonsure with the name Anthony. In 1013, on the way back to Rus, from the Athos Mountains to the holy city of Kiev, Anthony felt the call of the voice of heaven and stopped in the blessed land of Lyadovsky. At that time, one of the safest trade routes to the Scandinavian countries, the Galician principalities, and the Byzantine Empire ran along the Dniester. Monk Anthony settled in the rock caves, where he carved out a cell for himself, which still bears his name today. This place is especially revered in the Lyadovsky Monastery. The cell has remained unchanged for the last millennium. In terms of its size, it is identical to the Athos cave from which the monk Anthony began his monastic life. Caves, ossuaries, and cave temples, carved into the rock by monks many centuries ago, have also been preserved. The first and main cave temple of the Lyadovsky Monastery is dedicated to the beheading of John the Baptist. From the outside of this temple rises a huge monument, an unhewn block of limestone, which is covered from top to bottom with numerous ancient inscriptions in different languages and various emblematic images made by visitors and pilgrims of this monastery. This can be considered the only ancient monastery chronicle known to us that has survived to this day. Below the temple and to the left of it, ancient crypt ossuaries have also been preserved. The second temple is connected to the first passage in the thickness of the chalk rock, and is dedicated in honor of the holy great martyr Paraskeva, called Friday. The third temple was created in memory of the founder of this monastery, the monk Anthony, and is located next to the cell of the monk, connecting to it by a cave passage. The Tatar Mongols controlled the rocky shores of Lyadovo in the 13th-14th centuries. The hordes swept away everything valuable from the temples. Taking advantage of this, the Roman Catholic Church, which hoped to subjugate the Western Russian principalities through its influence, openly promised comprehensive support in the fight against the Tatar Mongols, and even a royal title for converting to the Catholic faith. From the end of the 14th century, this region for many centuries, until the end of the 18th century, became part of the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. During this period, the Lyadiv Monastery was experiencing unusual times. All of the above-mentioned events, of course, were to one degree or another related to the position of the clergy and brethren. After all, there in the caves a blessing was sounded to the Cossacks and the monks, Abbot Paul and hieromonk Nicephorus, who enjoyed the special favor. Bogdan Khmelnytsky conveyed a letter from the hetman to Patriarch Paisius, and in words, a request to Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich to stand up for Ukraine and its Zaporizhian Cossacks. During the 27-year rule of the Turks here, life in almost all monasteries of Transnistria froze again, and the Lyadovsk churches became orphaned. However, in the territories recaptured from the Turks at the end of the 17th century, church life received a new impetus and development. The Lyadovsk Monastery also remembers how at the beginning of the 18th century, for several decades, Greek Catholics were completely impoverished in it. After Podillia became part of the Russian Empire, the Lyadovsk Monastery returned to orthodoxy. The shrines have again become the subject of special worship of Orthodox believers on the monastery mountain and in the Lyadov churches. The first is a stone cross to indicate that this is a monastery territory under the protection of God. The second shrine is the ancient, extremely revered icon of the beheading of the honest head of John the Baptist. It has been considered miraculous since ancient times, and one could hear that not only icons, relics, but also sources of healing water have miraculous power. Here, each of the locals will show the ancient Anthony Spring, which for centuries has been giving water and healing to pilgrims of the monastery. It is no coincidence that it is considered fair to compare the properties of the water of this spring with the water from the Anthony well, which the monk himself lay on the territory of the Petrus Monastery in Kiev in the same 11th century. Meanwhile, in Lydovo, the church lived a single life with its parishioners. From the 1840s, to Lydovo clergymen, Gregory Yankovsky and Volodymyr Stefanovsky made a significant contribution not only to the development of pastoral, but also educational work in their region. It was then that Lydovo Monastery began to turn into a notable economic center of Podillia. The Lydovo parish owned more than 50 acres of land in the valley near the Dniester River, and the famous Lydovo fairs, which were held annually under the auspices of the Lydovo Monastery on its main patronal holiday, the beheading of the prophet, forerunner, and Baptist of the Lord John, acquired special economic significance. But ahead of everyone was the First World War and the Bolshevik October Revolution of 1917. In 1938, the Dniester River was the border with Romania. Under the command of General Karbyshev, a secret defense line was being built here. One of the bunkers, according to the plan, was located at the foot of the monastery. The Soviet authorities, who declared the parishioners enemies of the people and smugglers, ordered the monastery to be blown up. According to local residents, the bomb maker who planted the explosives heard angelic singing in the church, but this did not stop him. The churches and the bell tower flew into the air. The force of the explosion was such that people could see part of the dome of the Church of John the Baptist and the Dniester. According to eyewitnesses, the main bell of the Lyadovsky Monastery also ended up in the river. All the outbuildings were also destroyed, a 2-story gallery, an 8-domed church, an extension to the large and small church, all iconostases and wells. After that barbaric act, some of the ancient books and icons that were in the churches were transferred to the Slobodiyarishevskaya Church, and some, including unique icons painted on zinc plates by the Kiev artist Dudovich, were stolen and irretrievably lost. The bomb maker was sentenced to death. He died in a quarry from explosives he had planted himself. The revival of the monastery began in 1998 with the arrival of the brethren from the Pachev Lavrot. Their appearance was like a sign of resurrection after almost 10 centuries of the Venerable's deeds. Hieromonk Anthony was appointed abbot of the monastery. He came filled with the desire to instill in the people disappointed in everything, especially in the souls of the young, the power of the faith of Christ. Ode. Here, on Lyadovska Gora, as 1,000 years ago, there is clean, intoxicating air, silence, peace, and that which cannot be defined in words, grace and prayer. Here people satisfy their spiritual needs through work and prayer, receive peace of mind, communicating quietly alone with the Lord. Here is a completely different, special world. People do not come here to seek glory, but here they seek humility and peace. It is evident that God will that this place remain an unquenchable lamp for the joy of pilgrims and all believers. Anyone who visits this place is struck by the spirit of asceticism and alienation from earthly vanity that has reigned here for almost a millennium. And those who have visited the holy Mount Athos in Greece claim that the Lyadiv Rock Monastery is truly the Podillia Athos. This is the invisible presence of God in human affairs, says Abbot Anthony. In 2013, when the 1000th anniversary of the Lyadiv Monastery will be celebrated, it may appear